Good day, and thank you for joining us for another edition of Conversations with AARP in the Virgin Islands. I'm Troy Deshabir Schuster, State Director for AARP in this territory. In the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, food insecurity soared. In 2021, 53 million people turned to food banks and community programs for help in putting food on the table. Today, 34 million people living in the United States are food insecure. Among them, nearly 10 million are adults aged 50 and older. Alternatively, multiple interventions have been shown to reduce food insecurity, including participation in food assistance programs and broader societal improvements in economic stability. But much more needs to be done. Within the past couple years, AARP has given more attention to addressing this growing crisis by better understanding food insecurity and identifying ways to address it. Most recently, AARP penned a letter to the United States Congress stating their position that access to an adequate and nutritious diet is foundational to maintaining health, quality of life, and independence as people age. All told, no one should have to go hungry in America. Our goal is to make sure all Americans, especially older adults, have access to sufficient food that meets their needs to live an active and healthy life. Today, we have invited Natalie Bailey, Administrator, and Judy David, Eligibility Supervisor from the Virgin Islands Department of Human Services Division of Family Assistance to discuss their efforts in addressing food insecurity in the Virgin Islands. And so we welcome Ms. Bailey and Ms. David. Good day.
Good day. Thank you for having us.
Good day. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for joining me in this conversation today to bring important information to the people of the Virgin Islands. I'm sure that a lot of people have a lot of questions, and so we hope that some of those questions will be answered today as a result of our conversation. So, so first of all, tell us about the Department of Human Services Division of Family Assistance. What does the Division of Family Assistance do within the Department of Human Services?
Well, at the Division of Family Assistance, we do some great work. Um, with the Division of Family Assistance, we provide timely and accurate food, energy, cash, and family support to the residents of the Virgin Islands. We implement several grants in the Division of Family Assistance. These grants include the SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, is formerly known as food stamps, where we provide food assistance to eligible families. Currently, we have approximately 11,000 households that currently receive food food assistance. We also have the TANF program, which is called a temporary aid to needy families, where we provide cash assistance to eligible women and children. Also, we have the energy crisis assistance programs, which provide, we pay electricity for namely elderly and disabled clients, and also persons who have any emergencies. We work to assist them also. We also provide 2 tanks of propane gas every. We provide um, tanks of propane gas to also the elderly and disabled population. We also have the some other cash grants, which is the general assistance grants and also the general tutor grants. But later on in the program, Ms. David will go into detail as to the eligibility of these programs.
Okay, and now, if you will tell me, Ms. Bailey, first of all, exactly what you do within the division, and then, Ms. David, what do you do within the division?
Okay, Within the Division of Family Assistance, I am the administrator for the program, and I oversee all of the various grants that I listed. I also oversee all of the issues that we have in the division. I have to make sure the program is running and all of the grants are being implemented. We're spending our money. I work on the various budgets to ensure that we making sure that we provide assistance to all eligible families.
Okay, and Miss David?
I'm on the eligibility, one of two of the eligibility supervisors within the program. And basically, my responsibility is to make sure and ensure that my workers are processing cases on a timely basis in order for clients to receive their benefits. I'm here if a client should have a question or a concern in regards to their case, if they have any questions, any guidance that is needed, if they need to be referred to perhaps another entity where they may need additional assistance that we are not available to provide. I'm here to guide my workers, train my workers, and just make sure that we get our job done to the best of our ability.
Okay, excellent, excellent. And so, where are your offices located on St. Croix and St. Thomas if people need to come in to gain access to these services?
Well, on St. Croix, we're located at 4102 Mars Hill, that's in Frederickstead. And in St. Thomas, we're located at the Newt Hansen Complex in Hospital Ground, 1303 Hospital Ground. That's where we're located.
And then
Okay, great.
we also have St. John. They have an office located at a multi-purpose building in Content. So that's also available on the island of St. John.
Well, great. I'm glad to hear you have services in St. John. We often hear people who live in St. John saying that certain services aren't provided to them. So this is such a fundamental, foundational type of service. So really very happy to know that you have an office over there on that island as well. And even before the COVID-19 pandemic, food insecurity among many Americans was very common, with millions of individuals and families experiencing food insecurity. Despite the many positive advances made by policymakers to address this, many living among us lack the ability to afford this necessity up to now. So, how is the Division of Family Assistance responding to this crisis?
Mhm. Well, basically, how we're responding to the crisis, first of all, we started to send out flyers. We did press releases to notify all clients that the public health emergency, that the emergency allotments were coming to an end. So we also provided, in preparation, we provided scripts for our staff so that they could be able to talk to the clients when they call in to inquire about the ending of the emergency allotments. We also talked with our various community partners to let them know that this emergency allotment would be coming to an end so that everyone will be aware of the fact that it was coming and the impact that it would have on the community. We also talk to the clients about watching their spending, knowing that the benefits would be decreasing.
And
Also, whenever one more thing, we
sure.
did a lot whenever we did any community outreach, because we, as much as possible, we try to go outside and tell people what's going on with the SNAP benefits. So whenever we were invited to various outreach projects, we would share that information also.
With a lot of these programs, such as Medicaid or MAP, as we call it here in the territory, and SNAP and so forth, there are people who slip through the cracks, right? They may make a little too much money to qualify for the program, but they're not making enough money to stand on their 2 feet. Uh, Recently, with the Affordable Care Act, or a few years ago with the Affordable Care Act, otherwise known as Obamacare, Medicaid was expanded. Now, with SNAP and these other assistance programs, Has there been any expansion? Is there a look toward expansion? And how do we fill that gap so that people don't fall in between the cracks? Any thoughts?
Okay, well, Ms. David, you want to talk about the poverty guidelines?
Well, basically, our poverty guideline is we are at the 175%, and that is what we use to determine eligibility. So it's based on your household size and your monthly income, and that's your monthly gross income. And when a budget is done, they determine your eligibility. But as you said, some people may not qualify. So some of the programs I would say that we would encourage people to take advantage of, for example, is WIC. If you have children under the age of 5, I believe it is, there are some benefits that you can take advantage of with WIC. You're also going to have certain organizations that, like Catholic Charities, that sometimes are giving out provisions. There's a place that you can go to sometimes get a meal, My Brother's Table. One of the other things we'd encourage our clients to do is consider bulk purchasing. So when so that your money spreads a long way. It's time to comparison shop, to seriously look at your sale papers to determine who is having a sale. And most importantly, I think we need to go to the old school and start budgeting what we're spending. And one of the most important things is not to spend your entire allotment before the month is out, because you never know what's going to happen come the first of the month. So you should always be prepared and have a little something left at the end just in case. So again, it's going to be very important for you to budget your funds so that you can make sure that it's stretched across the entire month. Not to spend your entire allotment at the beginning of the month and then you're suffering towards the end of the month trying to figure out how you're going to make ends meet.
And
Okay.
going, sorry, go ahead, Ms.
Okay, I
Bailey.
wanted to just add to that also. Miss David talked about the guidelines. Currently, yes, we have our clients at 100, and the income guidelines was 100% poverty guidelines, and the elderly and disabled, they are at 200%. So one of the things that we're going to be doing is working with FNS. We're going to be putting in some requests to increase for all other persons besides the elderly and the disabled, to increase the poverty guidelines to 200. That way we would have more persons being eligible for SNAP. So that's something that we will be working on just now so that we could be able to make more people eligible. So we'll be working with FNS for that.
Great. So then there is this move to expand
Yes.
these assistance programs, just
Mhm.
like Medicaid was
Yeah.
expanded.
Yes.
And that's namely for the SNAP program. We'll be working to increase the poverty guideline to 200% for all eligible clients.
Yes.
Okay, so now the poverty, what is considered poverty? What is that dollar amount?
I'm not sure we can put it into a dollar amount. It's what they consider 175% is what the federal government gives us as the guideline. And what they do is they look at your household size and they let you know the amount of money that you can receive in your household in order to be eligible to receive the benefit. For example, if you're a member of one person in your household, if your income does not exceed 1,983, you would be eligible to receive benefits. Same thing with a household of 2, it will increase to 2,671, and each household size has a different poverty allotment allowed for that household. And again, we want to remind people that we're looking at your gross income, and that is before you take out taxes or any other deductions. So it's important for people to remember that it's your gross income. Once you're eligible, then we take into consideration what you're paying for rent, light, phone, your basic household expenses and utilities, and that can help the allotment to increase by a slight amount. But you have to be qualified before we take those things into consideration.
Now, if you'll give me some, at least maybe one or two precise examples for an individual
Mhm,
living in his or her own home, no children, no dependents,
mhm,
for just one person, what is the threshold of poverty? Is it an income of
Like I,
1,800
like I said, 1,983 would be the guideline for that household of one.
per
And
month?
And that person would, if they have no income at all, that person would be eligible for $362. However, if you have income that is under that amount, we budgeted to determine what your allotment will actually be based on your household size versus expenses.
Okay, so this 1,800 and some, that's per month, right? The gross income
Yes,
per month.
yes.
Okay, okay, I'm beginning to understand that. And then you increase that when they're dependents as well,
If you have additional
right?
household members.
Right.
And we also, it's not just necessarily that you're working for the government, you could be self employed. You could be doing odd jobs. I mean, something as simple as hair braiding. You could be selling candies and little items out of your home. Those are all considered income. You could be cutting grass. That is an income. It's called self-employment. So you would have to verify what your monthly self-employment is. If you have expenses, you need to provide those expenses, the receipts, in order to get credit for those expenses.
Okay. Okay. And so when they come in, they have to, I guess, produce evidence of income, exactly how much they're making.
Yes, they do. Traditionally, you will ask for someone if they have check stubs. For example, if you're working on a biweekly basis, we would normally look at 4 check stubs if it's not fluctuating. 2, if you're being paid on a weekly basis, we look at 8 check stubs. 4, if your income is not fluctuating. If you're doing self-employment, we're looking on average what you're earning on a monthly basis. However you earn it, whether you're earning it weekly, whatever, but you just want a total overall for monthly. We also take into consider child support is considered what we consider unearned income. Social Security is an unearned income, but nonetheless, it is an income. So you do need to report child support. You do need to report Social Security, veterans benefits. All these are all looked at as income that is unearned.
Now, once the person qualifies, what are the requirements for them to remain on the program?
Okay, we have 2 different certification, well, actually 3 different certification periods. If you are a household that's recertifying once a year, you're going to have that once a year recertification the same month every year. So if you certify in January of this year, you're going to recertify in January of next year, unless there's some sort of extension that we've been approved to put in place. If you are recerting, our elderly recertify every 2 years, and are homeless recertified 3 to 6 months, depending on what their homeless situation is. The only other thing you're going to have to do is what we call a checkup. It's called a periodic report. If you're recertifying once a year, a periodic report comes out to you at the 6 month mark. And what it is we're just asking you, have you had any changes since you initially recertified your case the last time? This is your opportunity to report those changes. If it's a 2 year recertification, you have an opportunity to do that at your 1 year mark. So the periodic report is mailed out to the clients 2 months in advance. Problem we have sometimes, we get it in the mail and we set it to the side. The important thing is when you receive the periodic report, complete it and return it to the agency. Don't sit on it, because what happens a lot of times is they forget about it. And then when they have no benefits on their card, they're like, okay, I don't know why my case closed out, because you didn't submit your periodic report. And the important thing about the periodic report, if you don't have any changes, you don't need to list anything. So if there's been no changes in your income, there have been no changes in your expenses, you don't check anything on that form. You simply put that there have been no changes. But it is important to inform us if you have a new telephone number or a new mailing address, because that is how we get in contact with you.
It has been reported that many Virgin Islanders, especially older adults,
Mhm.
experience barriers to accessing SNAP benefits.
Mhm.
What changes have been implemented over time to improve access to the program and to make it easier, especially for our older adults?
Well, we've always been able to do home visits for our elderly. It's not a problem for us to come out to the home if an elderly person has issues with transportation. They also have an option that they can decide to have an authorized representative. And this is where they approve someone who knows about their household that can come in and recertify on their behalf. They don't necessarily have to come in. That authorized representative that they sign the paperwork to authorize can come in and can process their case on their behalf. We also have now been doing telephone interviews. And there are times that we have no interview waivers. So if all of our information is provided when the packet is returned for recertification, We don't even have to call you on the phone. We can process your case and approve your case without even speaking to you, unless there is something that we have a question about or there's something questionable, then the worker will make contact with you.
Very good, very good. And earlier there was a short mention about grants.
Mhm.
So can you tell us more about these special grants?
Okay, we have cash grants, and let me mention that our application for SNAP as well as cash, it's exactly the same application. At the top right hand corner of our application, you can check off whether you're applying for cash or SNAP or both. Um, some of the cash programs, the most popular one would be TANF, which is a temporary assistance to needy families, and these are households with parents, and I won't say mothers because it can also be a father, who is in need of assistance. They're currently unemployed. They may not be receiving any type of child support from the absent parent, as we refer to them. Once they turn in that application, they're going to have to go up to paternity and provide all the information on the absent parent. And they're also going to have to register with the jobs program, which is designed to help mothers get or fathers get off of the program with proper training, whether you might be learning a particular skill. And that's what the jobs unit will actually work with the client. Once all that is done, you're going to verify your residence. We're going to verify if your children are attending school, if they are of school age. We're also going to ask if you, because in some cases you may be receiving support, but it's a minimal amount of support. So all that is an inquiry of the worker. And once we get back a determination from the Paternity and Child Support Office, then we can process your application.
And Miss Bailey, so if you will, give us an idea of the total dollar amount of these grants per year, and what would be the range for an individual, like minimum to maximum that an individual with no dependents can receive in these cash grants?
Okay, I could give the total amount of benefits that we issue, but that question I would refer it back to Ms. David in reference to the amounts that a person can receive. Is that?
Yes, that's fine. Yeah.
Yes.
What would be
Yes.
the overall total cash grants that are given out each year?
Okay. Well, let me start with this SNAP, right? In terms of for SNAP, we actually I'm gonna start with the emergency allotments. With the emergency allotments, we gave out approximately 2 million every month for clients to receive benefits. So it was about 2 million for the emergency allotments. For the SNAP, it's about 6 to 7 million because we have approximately 11,000 SNAP recipients. So it's about 6 million, 6 to 7 million a year for the SNAP. Also for the TANF, it's about, let's say, about $1 million for the TANF and cash grants, as well as the energy crisis assistance programs. I would say about another 50,000 to $1 million.
And with all of these monies, is it all federal money or is there a local match?
Well, actually, for the SNAP, that's federal. SNAP and TANF is federal dollars. Also, with the energy crisis assistance, there's a portion that we receive for, for the electricity, it's federal dollars that we receive. But the portion that I discussed where we do the propane gas, that is local funds that we receive from the legislature.
Great. And then to Miss David, so what is the range when it comes to the cash assistance and SNAP? What would be the range for an individual with no dependents, from
Okay,
low to high?
individual with no dependents for SNAP could receive $362 monthly benefits. Let's say you come in and you're an individual that may apply for one of our other cash benefits with no dependents. You may be eligible for a general assistance grant. You may be eligible for APTD, which is an aid to the permanently and totally disabled. And we have several categories. You can be declared totally blind. You could have a psychological disability, or you can have a physical disability. And all those grants start at $180 monthly.
Okay, great. And We have just about 3 minutes left to our show, so if you will tell our listening audience, how can they learn more about these programs and how can they set up an appointment or come in to see if they qualify?
First of all, our applications are available. Whether you come into the office, you can pick up an application. You can send an email to our CERT office. It's certoffice.stx@dhs.vi.gov. And then you can request an application. An application can be faxed to you. We can email the application to you, or you can go to the Department of Human Services website, which is dhs.gov.vi, and you can download your application along with all the other forms that are needed. But it's really important if our clients would pay attention to our checklist that is right at the top that lists everything that we need to determine your eligibility. Life will be easier for both of us if you take a moment to look over those and provide the information that is needed to process your application. And most importantly, fill out the entire application. We're having clients that are not even putting their names on the application. Sometimes they're not signing the application, and the application is not valid without a signature.
Okay, and so do they have to set up an appointment to come in and meet with a
Nope.
counselor? Okay, they can just walk in?
You can walk in at any time and request an application.
Okay. And then what's the timeline from the time an application is submitted, assuming that they have all of the
Mhm.
documentation together? How long does it take for somebody to get approved and actually get on the program?
If you are qualified for expedited services, you can receive your benefits within 7 days and your card within that 7 day mark. On average, our application is a worker can take up to 30 days, but not necessarily taking the 30 days. But that is also dependent on how long you take to return the requested information and that you return all of the requested information. However, an application that is submitted is good for 60 days, even if you have not completed everything within the 30 days. If you finally return your information, your case will be prorated from the day you return your information. So the application is good for 60 days for SNAP. For cash assistance, the application is good for 30 days.
And just briefly in general, do you find that people here in the Virgin Islands who qualify are taking advantage of the program, or is it underutilized?
I think people are taking advantage because we get an average of sometimes 20 applications a day into this office. So you would think that everyone in our community is already receiving benefits that are eligible, but no, it is not. There are a lot of people that are eligible that are applying. Some are not eligible, and we'll find out. But I also encourage people to also go on our website because there is a chart on the website where you can take a look to determine based on your income whether you would be qualified or not. But even though, still feel free because it is your right to file an application and let us determine your eligibility.
Excellent. So AARP in the Virgin Islands, we thank our guests, Natalie Bailey and Judy David from the Virgin Islands Department of Human Services for joining us on today's edition of Conversations with AARP in the Virgin Islands and their efforts to improve the lives of all Virgin Islanders. And so, my friends, I hope that you will come back again and join us for another show, Miss David and Miss Bailey, because our time was short and there's so much more to discuss. So we look forward to having you again. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us, and we look forward to you inviting us one more time.
Yes. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Have a
Look
great
forward
day.
to returning.
Thank you.